you look at Bournemouth, and then you look at United. I mean, the way they battered Chelsea was, absolutely fantastic. I mean, to beat them 2-0 at Old Trafford 2-1. I mean, it was a fantastic performance. I expect them to win again against Bournemouth on Saturday afternoon.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Hope you're all having a fantastic Friday afternoon. Hope you had a good day. Hope you had a good week. And I hope you're all looking forward to another brand new weekend in December 2023 this year. First of all, do me a massive favour for me. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always remember to put a notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of 2023 in the last few days and weeks remaining in this year. On United Red Devils 20, we've got more Fortnite, Rocket League, F1 23, Fall Guys, EA Sports FC 24, more previews, more match reactions, and more brand new stuff planned for the last few remaining days and the last few remaining weeks in 2023 on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Good afternoon to everybody, all you legends, all you legendary people, and welcome to your Premier League preview between Manchester United and AFC Bournemouth on match day 16 of the 23-24 Premier League season at Old Trafford on Saturday afternoon. Manchester United against AFC Bournemouth. Another must-win game for Manchester United. Simply after Wednesday, my confidence has been regenerised. My confidence is now back in at Manchester United. And after the way we played on Saturday, the intensity, the hard work and the passion shown to absolutely rip Chelsea apart, I am expecting another very, very comfortable afternoon against Bournemouth on Saturday afternoon. Obviously, Bournemouth have gone on this amazing unbeaten run at the moment. They've gone nearly 6 or 7 games in their last Premier League matches unbeaten, which, at the start of the season, Bournemouth were really, really struggling. Like, look at the way they were. Look at, bringing a new manager in to replace Gary O'Neill, who did, a very, very good job at AFC Bournemouth to keep them up in the Premier League where they were fighting relegation last season. And obviously, you're fully expecting Gary O'Neill to remain in charge as AFC Bournemouth manager. And obviously, when you get a decision made by the Bournemouth owners and the Bournemouth directors that, to dismiss Gary O'Neill, you fear for AFC Bournemouth and you worry that their long-term Premier League longevity is going to be massively, massively in doubt. But fair play to what Bournemouth are doing at the moment. They are a very, very good team. They are a team on the up. They are a team on the rise, and they are playing some fantastic football. And some of the results they've achieved in the last few matches, you wouldn't have expected AFC Bournemouth to. Obviously, they beat Crystal Palace on Wednesday night at Selhurst Park against Roy Hodgson's side. That is simply really, really struggling to get up that Premier League table to try and secure their Premier League future. And I would have expected Palace to beat Bournemouth, but for Bournemouth to go there to Selhurst Park and win, it shows the style of play that the new manager is bringing into Bournemouth. Like, at the start, it wasn't clicking for Bournemouth. It was really, really boring, really, really lethargic, and Bournemouth was struggling to get any points. But I think, United, they've got another winnable game. They've got an easy chance to crash top 4. And at the moment, the way everybody around us dropping points, Man United are very, very much in the top 4 race now. Like, a few weeks ago, we were looking majorly out of this. We were looking worried of trying to get Champions League football again for next season. And you're worried if Manchester United were going to be able to compete with the chasing pack. Well, after the results this week, I think Manchester United are very, very much back in this. Like, I'm not ruling out top 4, and I'm not ruling out a Premier League title race. I know people saying, well, you're massively off Villa, Liverpool and Arsenal. But I'm not really worried about those 3. Like, I'm more concerned about trying to catch Man City and Tottenham. Like, Tottenham to lose to West Ham last night was embarrassing. And then Newcastle to go to Everton away at Goodison, and you're expecting Newcastle to come away with all 3 points against Everton, who obviously are fighting relegation from the Premier League yet again. I would have expected a Newcastle win, but results have gone United's way this week, especially when also Villa beat Man City at Villa Park on Tuesday night. So Manchester United here have got very good chance here that top 4 is very, very much back on. Champions League football may be back at Old Trafford again next season, where we've really struggled to adapt being back in the Champions League. Obviously, we've got a big game coming up against Bayern Munich on Tuesday evening next week, which is going to be make or break for Manchester United to see where their European campaign lies for the rest of this upcoming season. But the main focus is for Saturday against Bournemouth. Like I think this is going to be quite an easy game. Like I know Bournemouth have done very, very well. They've gone 6 or 7 games unbeaten in their last Premier League matches. And I'm not expecting Bournemouth to cause major problems for Manchester United. I think, if you look at Bournemouth and you look at Manchester United and you look at the quality and balance of both squads and you look at the quality that Man United possess ahead of Bournemouth, I would expect a Manchester United win here. But the way, Bournemouth have been playing, the way they've been producing very, very good results and very, very good football away from home, especially at the Vitality Stadium at home in Bournemouth as well. I think Bournemouth are going to come to Old Trafford and, they're going to play the way they've been playing. They're going to bring the style of play they've been playing in their last few games. And, I think Bournemouth have they've got problematic players that can cause Manchester United problems. But I would expect Manchester United to have, the advantage here with, after what we witnessed on Wednesday against Chelsea, which was probably Manchester United's best performance all season. I'm thinking Man United, if Man United can do that again to Bournemouth, this could be an absolute cricket score. Like, I think Manchester United know that they're going to look at Man City, they're going to look at Tottenham, and they're going to look at Newcastle, and they're going to look at the last few results. And I think Ten Hag will put that into the players' mindset that, look at everyone around us here. They're dropping points, and we are very, very much back in this. Like, the last few weeks, it looked like Man United weren't even going to get into Europe. Like, that was a massive, massive possibility. But now it looks like all of a sudden things are starting to turn around. Like, the absolute rise of Manchester United in their last few matches to go, as long unbeaten Premier League record is quite remarkable. But, obviously the only blip we've had is Newcastle. So since then, Man United were, fantastic against Chelsea. The football we were playing was magnificent. And the way we opened Chelsea up was quite remarkable to see how bad Chelsea were. And I think, again, if we can play with the same intensity and the same pressure on and off the ball against Bournemouth on Saturday, then I'm expecting a comfortable afternoon for United. I think, we've got the goals in the team. We've got the players to produce the performances. And I think at the moment, if Ten Hag's side continue to play the way we are, then, I'm not ruling out a Premier League title race here. Like, I'm really, really not ruling anything out here because if you're looking at it from a long point of view, United, have had a really, really shit Premier League season. We've not been nowhere near where we should be. But all of a sudden now, like, Man City are dropping points, Tottenham are dropping points, Newcastle are dropping points. And if results go our way again this weekend, then Manchester United are very, very much alive that they're going to look at everyone else and they're going to think to themselves, we should not be anywhere near them. We shouldn't be anywhere near where we are now. We should be massively, massively lower than what we are in the Premier League currently. But as long as everyone keeps dropping points and Man United keep on winning, the Man United are going to keep creeping up that Premier League table. And I think everyone then will then start getting afraid of what Man United can do because everyone, has basically said, you ain't got no chance this season. You ain't getting Europe. You're not in a Premier League title race and forget winning a trophy. Well, at the moment, I would come back to you and say, well, look at the rest of some of your team's performances because at the end of the day, you lot are dropping points here. And Man United at the moment are taking full advantage of the slip-ups. And I think for me, it's only going to get bigger and better for Manchester United because Bournemouth, you would expect Man United a very, very convincing home win. You would really, really expect Manchester United to beat Bournemouth Saturday. I can't see Bournemouth come to Old Trafford and winning, but don't rule anything out because they have got some dangerous players. Dominic Solanke, Sinistera, Kiefer Moore. You look at their midfield. I mean, you look at that whole Bournemouth team now and you mean Neto in goal. I mean, you look at even Bournemouth are keeping clean sheets. Like, they're not a team that is going to be easy to, break apart. They're not going to be a team that, are going to be able to pick apart easy. But I think Man United will get the job done. I can't see Manchester United slipping up. I mean, it is a massive, massive home banker for me. And if you think about it now, like if we can keep this form up by the end of Christmas and you look at the fixtures we've got coming up, United have got to win this game because after this, it's Bayern Munich at home, Liverpool away, then it's West Ham, then it's Villa, and then it's Nottingham Forest. So Manchester United here have got a massive opportunity to get these points on the table, on the board, and you're going to go into Anfield with confidence. You've got a Villa at home with confidence. You away to Nottingham Forest, the confidence is going to be there. And I think if we win this game on Saturday and you've won your last 2 games in a row, and you can beat Bayern Munich on Tuesday, this is going to be quite a big, big season for Manchester United. Like, I know it's not the season we all wanted, And for me, it's not been anywhere near the expectations. But if United can keep on playing the way we are, then I can't see United falling off a cliff. I think United have got to keep this pressure up. The injuries, will return when we need them. Obviously, we have still got major problems ahead of Saturday. But I think, the Chelsea performance on Wednesday, it was a massive wake-up call. Like, United were, embarrassing against Newcastle. They were absolutely shambolic the way we performed. And on Wednesday night, it was like the handbrake was taken off. Like, I've not seen a Manchester United first half performance like that in decades. Like, it's been nearly 11 years since we last won the Premier League. It's been nearly 16 years since we last won the Champions League. It's nearly been 7 years since we last won the FA Cup. And I think on Wednesday, like that Chelsea performance, it was something I didn't predict for Manchester United to be able to produce what we did. And I think Manchester United, the way we were playing, I was surprised by the momentum. I was surprised by their energy because after the Newcastle defeat, the confidence would have been drained. The morale would have been on the floor. But against Chelsea, I thought, for me, as a Man United fan, I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting either a draw or maybe even a defeat to Chelsea, but I didn't expect to beat them. And now you look at where we are in the league. If we do beat Bournemouth Saturday, which I'm expecting us to do, then we go joint fourth. Like, we are crashing the top four here. Like, and then if everyone else slips up again, then Manchester United here, by the end of the weekend, are going to find themselves in a great position because after the Champions League game, it's them Liverpool away. And if we can go and pick something up at Anfield, then United have got a huge opportunity here to basically take the whole Premier League by storm and surprise everyone around us and say, look, you ain't got this guaranteed. Man United are coming. Like, we are on all of a sudden, we're creeping up. And I think, everyone would have expected Tottenham to win yesterday and Newcastle to win. I thought everyone would have thought, both those games are an away and a home banker for Newcastle and Tottenham, especially against two teams that have not had the Premier League seasons they've both wanted. But now it looks like United have looked at everyone else and, everyone else seems to be falling off a cliff here. Like, I can't believe Man City have gone 4 Premier League games without a win. I can't believe Spurs have gone 5 games without a Premier League win. And then you look at Newcastle's away record, like, it's absolutely shocking away to Everton, but I didn't expect Everton to dismantle them 3-0 last night. Like, Everton are fighting relegation here, and Newcastle are trying to get top 4 again. They're trying to get Champions League football, and they're trying to secure top 10 again, which would be a massive success for Eddie Howe and his Newcastle side. But losing to Everton now is a massive opportunity here for Man United to just keep putting the pressure on everyone else to perform, because the bigger the gap gets to our rivals, the more chance we close in on them and take them all by surprise and go for top 4 now. And I think if you can beat Bournemouth, which I'm expecting us to do, I would expect Man United to put in another really high energy performance. I think Bournemouth, there's still, a lot of problems in that Bournemouth team. They are still very open. And I think against a top 6 club, Bournemouth will get found out. Like, you're not expecting Bournemouth to rip up trees. You're not expecting Bournemouth to go to Old Trafford and win. But this Premier League season, like I said, has been an absolute weird one. Like, this Premier League season, I've never seen a season like it. And anyone can beat anyone. And I've seen that plenty of times enough this season already. Like, you look at the way Luton are playing. You look at Everton last night. You look at West Ham last night. You look at Brentford and Brighton. Like, there's a lot of Premier League clubs this season that are taking the games to the big boys. And it's quite a surprise that, all of a sudden the lower league clubs are really starting to step up, because they know the fear isn't there anymore. Like, the danger isn't there when they play against them. And they know that the expectations, they may be on the floor from the start, but Bournemouth are producing results that no one expects, and Bournemouth are playing, some fantastic football. Like, when they beat Palace, like, I'm not going to be rude, but I would have expected them to beat Crystal Palace. I mean, look at Roy Hodgson's team at the moment. They are literally nothing without Eze. They're literally nothing without Decore and without Elise as well. That Crystal Palace team is bloody shocking. Like, I can't believe how bad they were against Bournemouth. I would have expected Palace to win. I would have expected a home banker for Palace on Wednesday night. And unfortunately, Palace got found out because of the defensive woes. Like, Bournemouth have got some really, really good players. Like, to sign Sinistera on loan from Leeds is a great signing. I mean, Kiefer Moore's producing. Dominic Solanke's finding the ball in the back of the net very, very often as well. So Manchester United have got to deal with their pacey wingers. Like, they have got strikers and wingers that can cause you problems. But I think Man United at the moment, defensively, yeah, we are still conceding a lot of goals. There's no doubt about that. Defensively, we are still conceding way too many goals for our liking, and we need to be starting to keep a bit more of a clean sheet every game. But I think defensively, the way we are at the moment, like, we only conceded one against Chelsea. Like, it could have been 3 or 4, the way some of the opportunities Chelsea had on Onana's goal. But thankfully, none of them were taken. Only like one shot from Cole Palmer that, Onana really, realistically should have saved. Like, that is an easy shot to save. Like, Onana shouldn't have let that in. But I think defensively at Man United at the moment, there is a lot of questions about what our centre-back partnership should be. There's a lot of talk about, where does this leave Varane? And I think for me on Saturday, like, if I would be making changes, because I think defensively, that goal against Chelsea, we should not have conceded. Like, it was a very, very piss-poor goal to concede, especially when our defenders have turned away from Cole Palmer's shot and basically not tried to put a tackle or a block in to prevent that shot from going into the back of Onana's net. And I think, what shocked me today is that I wake up this morning and you look at who's won Premier League Player of the Month, and it's been given to Harry Maguire. And I can't justify why Harry Maguire has got Premier League Player of the Month. Like, this guy is shocking for England. He is nowhere near good enough for Manchester United. And I think for me, defensively, him and Lindelof, it doesn't work. I've never trusted either of them anyway. And I think for me, realistically, from a bigger point of view, that if we're going to go back to Lindelof Maguire, then you might as well just forget Man United keeping a clean sheet for the rest of the season, because I don't think Maguire's been anywhere near good enough in the last few games. Like, he can't defend, he can't tackle, he can't put a block in, and how he has been justified with the Premier League Player of the Month award is absolutely laughable. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, what are people watching in Man United games when Maguire's in that team? Like, how he's been justified with the Premier League Player of the Month award, I just don't get this, because he ain't no strong centre-back. He ain't got nothing on this side that proves his game's good. And I think for me, the only reason he gets in the England national team for Gareth Southgate is because Gareth Southgate is another Solskjaer. He's a 2.0 on Gunnar Solskjaer. He has his favourites. And we did this under Radnick. We did this under Solskjaer, that Maguire and Lindelof were basically favoured over Rafael Varane. And I think for me, Varane is 10 times better than both of them put together, because he's won World Cups. He's won Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. And all of a sudden, Varane's not in this team. Now, is that down to, him wanting out of Manchester United, or does Ten Hag simply do not want him at Man United anymore? And like I said, like, you're reading a rumour, I think it was either Tuesday night, Wednesday night, or Wednesday morning, or yesterday, that Man United have decided to put Varane up for sale, which is laughable, because Varane's our best centre-back with Lisandro Martinez. And if you get rid of that, that is ridiculous. I know his injury record has been shocking, but for me, he's one of Manchester United's better and superior centre-backs. And if you're going to get rid of him, then you might as well give him a last few games as a hurrah for a Man United player, because if you pick up an injury to Lindelof or a Maguire, what is the backup plan then? Let's use Johnny Evans. Like, I just don't think that's right. Like, I don't get how Lindelof, Maguire and Johnny Evans get in this team over Rafael Varane. Has Rafael Varane thrown his toys out the pram like Jadon Sancho? Does he want out of Manchester United? Or does Ten Hag simply look at the injuries he's had, look at his performances in and out of this United team, and thinks to himself, well, if he's going to keep picking up more injuries and he's going to keep picking up more inconsistent performances, then he's not part of this long-term plan. But I think for me, I would be starting Varane ahead of Harry Maguire on Saturday. I think for me, that is what I would do, because I just don't think Harry Maguire is defensively good enough. Like, you can't defend against a high attacking, pacey winger or striker. Like, we saw that on Wednesday when we had Mudryk and Sterling and Nicholas Jackson running at that Man United back four. Maguire and Lindelof were basically non-existent. Like, you can't be doing that against a Bournemouth team that have got Sinisterra and Solanke in their team, who are very, very quick. Like, you can't do that again. And I think for me, I would bring Varane in to prevent that from happening. But if we don't see Varane Saturday, then clearly there is no future for Varane, I'm afraid, because he ain't been playing. Like, when did we last see Varane in a Man United shirt? When did we last see Varane play? I don't even think it was even the Fulham away game. Like, I can't remember the last time Varane actually played a game. That's how long it's been. So I think for me, for the back four, I would just bring in Varane for Maguire, and that was a change I would make to the two centre-backs. And I think sticking with the defence as well, like, on Wednesday again, like, I'm not convinced by Luke Shaw being back in his team. Like, since he's been back in, I have seen nothing but pass back to the goalkeeper, pass back to the goalkeeper, pass back to the goalkeeper. Like, I've not seen any pace or any threat of Luke Shaw getting forward. Like, on Wednesday, I know he had a few decent runs and he made a few decent, runs in the left back position, but I didn't see him cause Chelsea major threats. Like, Cucurella had bloody Luke Shaw in his pocket. And I think for me, like, I just don't trust Luke Shaw. Like, he doesn't really convince me that, he can make much of a threat to the team. Like, when Reguilon came on Wednesday, like, for me, Reguilon is much better than Luke Shaw. And I think for me, since we signed him on loan from Spurs in the summer transfer window, you look at Reguilon's game, age is on his side. That's one key factor. He doesn't get injured like Luke Shaw. He keeps himself pretty much fit. And I think for me, when he came on Wednesday, because obviously Lindelof went off on Wednesday against Chelsea, and that there was nothing to conclude why Reguilon was brought on for Lindelof. Maybe Lindelof has picked up an injury, or maybe tactically that decision was made to make that change at half time. I'm not 100% sure, but Reguilon played very well against Chelsea Wednesday. I was really, really impressed with the way he got forward with the ball, and he can actually put a decent cross into the box. I don't think we've got that in Luke Shaw. We don't have that left back that can put a decent world-class cross into the box for our strikers or our wingers to get on the end of. I don't think we've got that personally. So I think for me, Reguilon is a much better fit at left back against a Bournemouth team that is more of a less of a threat, because I would rather save Luke Shaw for Tuesday against Bayern Munich. That he would probably cause a lot more problems to Bayern Munich, because they have got an aging back four. And I think for me, that would be a much more of a threat against a Bayern Munich team that is starting to age away. So I think for me, again, I would make that change to bring Reguilon in for Bournemouth, because I think defensively he tracks back. Defensively, he's a lot better. And he does put in a few good tackles, and he wins the ball back when he loses it. So I think for me, Reguilon is a much better left back than Luke Shaw. And I think going forward, he's technically better, because you don't see Luke Shaw put a cross into the box. He always seems to track back and then pass it back to Onana. And I don't think, for me, that is what we should be doing. We really need to be creating a threat with both left back and right backs, but we don't really have that. So I think for me, I would bring Reguilon in for Luke Shaw. And again, sticking with the defence, again, for Saturday. I think for me, I would be changing Diego Dalot. Like, I'm never going to be convinced by Dalot. I don't think, for me, again, he doesn't offer anything to this team. Like, what makes me angry about Dalot is that Mourinho was allowed to sanction this deal when we wanted Dalot, and United got it done pretty quickly. But what annoyed me by the transfer is I've not seen anything of Dalot going forward or defensively minded that makes Man United a better team. Like, I think Dalot out of this team, Manchester United look 10 times better And I think United have got a right back problem here, because I then don't rate Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which is another big problem, because neither of them can get forward with the ball. Neither of them can put crosses into the box. And especially on Wan-Bissaka's side, when he gets forward, he then cuts back inside and then puts in a low cross. Like, we've got strikers and wingers who are trying to get on the end of the ball in the penalty area of the opposition, and we're trying to put the ball in the net. We don't seem to have that player in Wan-Bissaka who can be able to create problems in the Bournemouth penalty area by putting a cross into the box. He always seems to trap back and then pass the ball back into the midfield. And I think, him and Diego Dalot, they're too similar in players. They're too similar in styles of play. And I think for me, that just does not work. I think for me, United need a more traditional right back that can bomb forward with the ball and put a ball into the box. We don't have that. And I think for me, defensively, again, it's only Bournemouth we're playing. So for me, I would go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka only just over Dalot, but I don't trust either of them at right back. I'm just not keen on the style of play that, offers United anything going forward. And I just think defensively, we're just not consistently good enough with either of them. But if I'm having to pick one over the other, I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka just nudges it, I'm afraid. So I think, the back four's been talked about. Obviously, we're not going to see any change in goal. Barring miracles, it will be Onana in goal. So we don't really need to talk about that situation with the goalkeeping. But then we move on to the midfield. And again, it would not surprise me in the slightest if Ten Hag went with the same midfield on Saturday, what we saw on Wednesday against Chelsea. Like, that midfield on Wednesday, I'm still not convinced over Scott McTominay. And people are going to say, well, he scored 2 goals to get the winners. He scored 2 good goals. We won the game. Without Scott McTominay, we wouldn't have won that match. But I just don't think, again, I am not keen on Scott McTominay being in this team. Like, for me, like I said many, many times, that Scott McTominay only gets in the Scottish national team because he's literally their best player. The rest of them are bang average championship players at best. And I think for me, I know obviously he took both of his goals very well against Chelsea. Like, that is what you call finishing of the highest quality. But I just don't think that midfield looks very balanced with him in it. I think the midfield looks at times at 6s and 7s. And I think for me, when we lose the ball, we don't really have the midfield players to run back and win the ball back and try and get the ball forward to our front three. And, I looked at the midfields Wednesday. Fernandes was very, very good. A lot more better performance than what we saw against Newcastle. But who I was really impressed with was Sofian Amrabat. I mean, I did say Sofian Amrabat was going to come very, very good for United. I did say Sofian Amrabat is going to become a very, very good player for Manchester United. The people saying you need to stop getting hyped by a loan deal. You need to stop overhyping a player that had one good season with Fiorentina and Europa Conference League final against West Ham. You need to stop overhyping a player that Man United couldn't afford to buy permanently. But I'm sorry, but if you looked at Amrabat Wednesday, look how fantastic Amrabat was. Like, absolute world-class performance from Amrabat. Like, for me, another man. Like, I gave him my man of the match Wednesday, along with many, many other players because of how good we were. But look how well that Man United midfield looks with Amrabat in it. And like I always said this, Amrabat is going to come good for Manchester United, and he's going to create a problem for the rest of Man United's midfield, because they're going to look at that performance Wednesday, and it's looking good for Amrabat. Like, it is looking very, very good for Amrabat. Like, the quality he brought in at CDM on Wednesday, you look at his tracking back, the way he won the ball back, the way his passing was. Like, you look at Amrabat, and it's just absolutely phenomenal player in there. And at CDM, which we all know we are missing Casemiro, let's be really, really honest here. We are missing that world-class ability in Casemiro in that midfield. But you're looking at it now. Amrabat on Wednesday gave a massive, massive wake-up call to that midfield and said, I'm here to stay. I'm here to state my place. And he did that absolutely amazingly on Wednesday. Like, the quality he brings in defensively into the CDM, like, we don't have that at United. He's got age on his side. He's got quality on his side. Like, you don't see that in the rest of that United midfield. You do not see it. And Amrabat, some of the passes he made and the confidence he had with the ball, like, he did his defensive work as well. And we don't have that. And when Amrabat's in that team, Man United look more secure. We really, really do, because, you know, we haven't got Eriksen, we ain't got Mount, we ain't got Casemiro. We look miles better without Hannibal Mabry. Like, that's 4 midfielders, you know, 3 out injured, 1 who I don't rate. And you've got Amrabat here, who has come in and looked absolutely phenomenal. Like, the midfield looks a more comfortable place to be in when Amrabat is playing at CDM, because he does his job that he needs to do. And that is why Ten Hag brought him in. And Amrabat's one of my favourite players. I love Sofyan Amrabat. Like, you look at his performances lately, that is what you call the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. That has made that midfield so much more balanced. It's made it look so much more secure. And I think for me, going forward, I would be making this Amrabat deal permanently, because he's quality. Like, he's making that Man United midfield such an easy place to be when he is in it. He supports Fernandes, he supports McTominay, he supports Kobe Manu. Like, he makes that midfield a much better place to be, knowing that back four's protected by him. Like, he's even got pace on his side. I mean, he can even make really quick runs with or without the ball. And he tracks back. Like, you do not see this at United. Like, this is why Amrabat wanted the move. This is why Amrabat, we brought him. This is why we signed him. This was making the Man United midfield a lot better with him in it. And I'm pleased he's here. I love Amrabat, and I hope, you know, he goes on and states his place as a Man United legend, because I honestly think now this player makes us look so much better. And I've been left massively, massively impressed by Wednesday. Like, he was phenomenal. Like, his work rate is an absolute tradition. His work rate is phenomenal. Like, I've never seen a player like this who desperately wanted the move, and he got the move he wanted. And now look at him. He looks transformed Wednesday. He looks like a better player, and Man United look more secure. I really, really think we do. I think we are so much better with Amrabat in. So we've discussed the midfield. We've discussed the defence. We've discussed the goalkeeping situation. Then we discussed the front three. Like, again on Wednesday, like, very impressed with the front three. Like, the only question mark is basically Rasmus Højlund. Like, we've still got a striker that, you know, is still lacking a Premier League goal. We've still got a striker here that has not found the Premier League net yet. And again, we are 16 games into the Premier League season, and Højlund has not scored 1 goal. And I still believe in him. He is going to be an absolute world-class elite striker for Manchester United. He's going to be absolutely world-class. He's going to be brilliant. And he's going to make Manchester United into a world-class team in the future. He's still young. He's still trying to develop. He's only 20 years old. And I think for me, like, I saw on Wednesday, like, a striker that looked like there's a lack of confidence. There's a lack of an idea what runs to make on and off the ball. And I think, again, Wednesday, like, I'm struggling to see now how we can cope without Højlund in that team, because clearly on Wednesday, that team really needs to pick itself for Saturday. Like, I want Højlund to be in this Man United team. There is no question about that. I want Rasmus Højlund in this United team permanently. He is our striker to go to. But the longer he goes without a Premier League goal, the worse this is going to get. And I think for me, United need to sort this in January. Like, Rasmus Højlund cannot do this on his own. Højlund needs to start scoring some goals, because he can't just keep doing it in the Champions League and in a European competition where we know he can score. If he doesn't score on Saturday, then United have got a big problem, because if he doesn't score, that is 16 Premier League games and not 1 goal. He's got the potential to be the next Erling Haaland. I'm going to completely stand by that statement. But he has got to start finding the net sooner rather than later, because otherwise Ten Hag is going to face questions on why he brought a 20-year-old striker that honestly is only playing in Serie A. Is not exactly the best league of football to play in. But there's going to be questions over the price tag. There's going to be questions over why he was brought. And there's going to be questions of why he is leading the Man United line. Two answers to both of those questions is, He doesn't rate Martial quite clearly. We looked at Martial at Newcastle, lazy, arrogant and lazy. Rashford, inconsistent, out of form. His head's not focused on football at the moment. So Ten Hag has got no choice but to go with Rasmus Højlund in every game because Martial has got a poor injury record. Rashford picks up a lot of injuries as well. But when Rashford's out of form, you then really can't afford to be starting Rashford when he's out of form. And you can't really start Martial where he's lazy on and off the ball. He argues with his teammates. He argues with Ten Hag and basically thinks he's bigger than the football club, just like Ronaldo did, and then walked out on the club. So Martial, can't be trusted either. So Rasmus really is the only hope we've got going forward. That is the only hope we've got. And people might say, oh, what are you talking about? Well, it's true, isn't it? Because if you're looking at this now, we're basically fucked if we lose Højlund to injury because you can't use Martial because that ain't right. And he can't use Rashford down the middle because Rashford's not a striker. So Højlund's our best hope for Saturday for goals. But I'm hoping like the threats of Garnacho and Anthony can help him because on Wednesday, I saw the very best of Anthony. I saw the very, very best of Garnacho. And, Anthony seems back to his very best. And I'm happy with that because after what he's been gone through and experienced in his personal life outside of football, all of a sudden, Galatasaray turned up, Newcastle, we don't want to talk about that. And Chelsea, you look at the problems he caused the left-back position on Wednesday. Anthony was making Chelsea shit scared. They didn't know what to do against Anthony. They didn't know whether to tackle or to, let him run at him or let him run past him. Anthony is causing problems again, and I'm happy with that because it's showing that Anthony is getting back to the best he was when we first brought him, and now he's making threats on goal. He's making the correct decisions, and I think that is a part of the development of Anthony turning into a Man United player. I think that's what Ten Hag is trying to transform him into. We are not at Ajax anymore; we're at Manchester United, and I think for me, we need to develop Anthony even more with his game, with on goal, with shots on goal, making the right decisions in the penalty area and making the right decisions when or when not to shoot or when to get the ball to Rasmus in a goal-scoring position. So I think Anthony is going to get back to his best, and I think I've witnessed that lately. And Garnacho as well, since he scored that absolute belter of the goal of the season for the Premier League, there's no doubt about his goal of the season by a bloody mile. Garnacho is now back to his best. And I think that is down to not having Rashford in that team because obviously you can't put Rashford and Garnacho in the same team because Garnacho and Rashford are both left wingers and you can't play both of them on the right because it just doesn't work. So Garnacho looks like he's got back to his best again. And that is down to the game time and the chances he is starting to create. And that is what Ronaldo did. Remember when Ronaldo burst onto the scene for the first time ever as a Man United player when we signed him way back in 2004 or 5 it was. Something like that. All of a sudden now, Garnacho is starting to remind me of that Ronaldo era. He is starting to find the opportunities that he needs to get. Garnacho is going to become a world-class talent. He's going to become a phenomenal world-class player. I just think he needs a bit more confidence. For me, he tried to attempt the bicycle kick on Wednesday, and obviously that did not go well. That went miles wide. And I think he's got to watch that because he doesn't want to try that too often when he then gets crucified. So I think for me, Garnacho needs to just keep doing what he's doing, but don't try and be too over-ambitious, too cocky, maybe, to say maybe. I just think, stick to what you know to do best because you are creating chances and you are getting opportunities through on goal. You saw that Wednesday. Look how many opportunities Garnacho created. There's a player there that has got hunger in his boots. There is a player there that has got world-class ability in him. And I do believe he will get there. He just needs the confidence. He needs to find the back of the net a little bit more and needs to start creating chances for the other players around him and making the correct decisions when not he's in the penalty area. But when he gets forward, he is a big, big threat. I think, again, today, like I said, I think this team will pick itself. The only changes I would make would be Wan-Bissaka for Delo. I think Reguilon for sure. And I think for me, Kobe Manu comes in for Scott McTominay. And I think for me, we still stick with the front three, Rashford and Martial both on the bench. Because when Rashford was brought on against Chelsea, did Rashford do anything? No. Did Rashford get forward with the ball? No. Did he keep losing possession? Yeah. Like someone said on socials that Man United are a lot better team without Marcus Rashford. Absolutely agree. I think the times of Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial are coming to an end. Man United are 10 times a better team without both players. And I think they are. I think Man United are 10 times better. And I do believe they are going to come surplus to requirements. Like, I do fully believe that, that performance on Wednesday sparked quite a lot. It did really, for me, spark quite a lot in that Man United team that, look how great we were going forward. Look at the energy we created. Look at the chance opportunities we had on the Chelsea goal. When you've got Rashford and Martial in that team, that doesn't happen. And when you take them out of the team, look how quick United get forward. Look at the energy. Look at the football we're playing. Look at the high pressing game we are giving to the opposition. They can't cope. And that was a big wake-up call. And I realise now that it's right that we don't need Rashford. We don't need Martial. For me, we are a better team without them in it. And I think for me, if we had big offers come in for them, I'm sorry, but I think we've got to take them now, because if you can then replace them with better players, look what they could add to Garnacho, Højlund and Antony's game. Look what they could add. United could rebuild this team if they sold Rashford. They could rebuild this team if they sold Martial. Look at the rebuild we could have if they sold both players. And I think United may have to do it. I think for me, we need to move Rashford on. I think that would be the correct decision to do. Marcel obviously needs to be moved on as well. And then obviously you've then got Sancho needs to be moved on. So United here have got an opportunity to get 3 big problematic players out of the club, sell them all, and then replace them with better players that want to play for this club. And there are players out there that would make Man United better without those 3 in it. I saw that Wednesday. Like, you don't need Rashford. You do not need him. Like, put him on the bench again and keep him on that bench, because he is not a player that is going to offer United going anything forward now. I'm convinced the front 3, again, it needs to be Rasmus, Højlund, Antony and Garnacho. That is United's best attacking 3 at the club by an absolute mile. Like, they are much better players that can get forward with the ball and create more opportunities on the opposition goal. They get into the penalty area. They have shots on goal. They create chances. They make opportunities for themselves to score. Honestly, they are a club that are better in than without. Honestly, Antony, Højlund and Garnacho needs to be the front 3 again. Like I said, I'm not picking the team. It's the manager. I back Ten Hag. I'm backing the decisions, and I'm backing him to get this team right Saturday. I think we'll beat Bournemouth. I think for me, the floodgates could open. This could be a cricket score. If United play the way they did against Chelsea, they could rip them apart on Saturday. Bournemouth could be torn apart by United. And I think for me, if Ten Hag goes with the same team Wednesday, I'll stand by it. I will stand by the manager and back his decision 110%. But I would just make a little few changes here and there just to, balance the team a little bit more. So I would bring Wan-Bissaka in, Reguilon, Kobe Manu, but that would be it. I would be changing a lot because he clearly ain't going to use Varane. We ain't got Eriksen. We ain't got Mount. We ain't got Casemiro. We ain't got Martinez. But the good news is that Amad Diallo is now back in training this morning as well. So that is a massive, massive boost that, Amad Diallo is now back in team. And will he be in contention for tomorrow? That's another big talking point. I mean, with Amad Diallo now, I'm sorry, but Sancho's going down that pecking order. So is Pellistri, so is Rashford, and so is Martial. And I would be bricking it now Amad's back, because Amad is going to cause damage when he's back in this United team. I can assure you that. Because look at the season he had last season at Sunderland in the Championship. So I'm going to go for 4 or 5-0 United. That is going to be my score prediction for Saturday afternoon. So I enjoyed the preview. Hit the like button, the share button. Please subscribe to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always remember to put that notification bell on as well, all times, so you receive dedicated content. And in the last few remaining days and these last few remaining weeks in 2023 on the channel, we've got more Fortnite coming up, Rocket League Season 13. We've got more F1 23, Fall Guys. We've got Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 1 Underground. We've got more previews and more map tracks. And then obviously on Saturday, Join me for the match reaction straight after the full-time whistle at Old Trafford. Hopefully it's another Manchester United win. Hopefully we will see another same type of the performance against Chelsea on Wednesday. And hopefully it will be a heavy scoreline to United. I'm going to go for 4-5-0, but let's see what happens. So enjoy your Friday afternoon, your Friday evening, whatever you're all doing. Stay safe, be nice, and be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all legendary. Remember to dream, achieve, and believe, and you will go far in life. And I will then see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.